India and China are both in support of the expansion of BRICS, but there is no clear indication on the criteria which will be used to decide whether a country makes the cut. On day 2 of the 15th BRICS summit, China and India expressed its full support for the expansion of the bloc of countries. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who was at first reportedly against expansion, said, "India supports the expansion of BRICS membership, and we welcome moving forward on this, using consensus. BRICS will be breaking barriers and revitalizing economies." Added to this, Modi said that, under SA's presidency in BRICS, countries in the global south have been given priority. "We are making efforts to move forward together with all countries." He said, China's President Xi Jinping said BRICS countries should avoid ganging up and creating small cliques. BRICS countries should work towards multilateralism and not create small groupings and blocs. "We need to bring more countries in the BRICS family. We need to pool our strength for a just society," he said. 23 candidates have applied to join BRICS, and an almost similar number have expressed an interest, including Argentina, Ethiopia, Iran and Saudi Arabia. One of the attractions of the group is the new development bank, created in 2015, with the aim of offering an alternative to the World Bank and the IMF. Currently, Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa form the BRICS community, which makes up a quarter of the global economy, accounts for a fifth of global trade, and is home to 40% of the world's population. President Cyril Ramaphosa also expressed his support for BRICS expansion. Meanwhile, Russia's President Vladimir Putin used his virtual address at the summit to blast the West and pin his country's war with Ukraine on powerful nations seeking to protect their global hegemony.
The last time that I participated in this summit meeting, 2010, I had the honor to host in Brasilia, our capital, the heads of state and government of Russia, India, and China, besides South Africa, that participated as a candidate to become member of the BRICS. Only 1 year after that meeting, we confirmed that South Africa would join the BRICS in the first expansion of our grouping. Its inclusion made that we could better reflect the new confederation of the world power. We left that meeting strengthened. Today we represent 41% of the world population, and we are responsible for 31% of the global GDP in terms of purchasing power parity. But we face a more complex scenario than when we met for the very first time. In few years, we went back from a benign multipolarity juncture to going back to an absolute mindset of Cold War and geopolitical competition. This is lack of the senses that generates great uncertainty and corrodes multilateralism. We know very well this path could take us. The world needs to understand the risks that are involved and which are unacceptable for humanity.
Putin, who is the target of an international criminal court arrest warrant because of the war in Ukraine, addressed the summit virtually. He said, "Our action in Ukraine is guided by one thing, our endeavor to stop the war started by the West on the people of Donbas." The BRICS summit heard about the global consequences of the war in Ukraine. Being consistently isolated from countries across the globe, Russia has relied on its BRICS partners for political support. Brazil's President Lula da Silva said the war highlighted the limitations of the UN Security Council. "We know where the current path of the world can take us. It is unacceptable for the world. We are all suffering the consequences of the war. The Ukraine war shows the limitations of the UN," he said. He said BRICS would remain a forum to discuss peace and safety, and reiterated its willingness to join efforts to contribute towards an immediate ceasefire.
While many believe that we should advance the interests of all people, we believe that, yes, as we advance them, the interests of the global south, that we as BRICS want to be ready to advance are essential, and in this regard we want to collaborate more, to cooperate more with all countries that aspire to create a more inclusive international order.
Under South Africa's presidency, countries of the Global South have been given special importance in BRICS. We heartily welcome this. This is not just an expectation of the present times, but a necessity as well. India fully supports the expansion of BRICS membership, and we welcome moving forward on this based on consensus.
I am glad to see the growing enthusiasm of developing countries about participating in BRICS cooperation, and quite a number of them have applied to join the BRICS cooperation mechanism. We need to make good use of the BRICS Plus cooperation format and accelerate the BRICS expansion process to bring more countries into the BRICS family, so as to pool our strength, pool our wisdom to make global governance more just and equitable.